Okay, between this part and the last, while it may not seem like it, I actually took a short break, like super short. Come on, Hisao, what are you waiting for? She is beckoning me to join them, making room on the already small bench. I seat myself on the corner of the bench to take as little space as possible. It's pretty cramped, but somehow all three of us fit on it. If I was there, I would want to be in the middle of the bench, sitting in between Emi and Rin as they both press against me. And enough with my fanfics. I should read this. Impressive view. Indeed, Hisao. This view is amazing. Like, this view is great. Emi suppresses a giggle and places a lunchbox in front of Rin, and hands another lunchbox to me. Here you go. Lunch is promised. Homemade, no less. I'm impressed. Wow, this looks really good. Thanks, I make 'em myself when I can. Conversation dies off as I set about the business of feeding myself. Taking a few bites, I glance up and notice Rin deftly opening the lunchbox and popping a forkful of food into her mouth, using only her feet. Even though I've seen it before, I can't help but be impressed at her dexterity. It's also a reminder of the sort of place I'm in right now. Will I ever get used to sights such as this? I can't decide if getting used to such a thing would be a good or bad thing, either. Does getting used to this place mean I'm giving up on being a normal person? Or does it just mean that I'm becoming more understanding about those around me? I'm distracted from my thoughts by the sight of Emi tearing into her lunch as if it had insulted her ancestors. Insulted. You seem pretty hungry. Emi looks up, mouth half full, and swallows before nodding. My morning run always works up an appetite. Which is great, because then I burn through lunch pretty quickly. Helps me keep my girlish figure. What would happen if you lose it? Would you become a man? I very nearly choke on my lunch, trying not to laugh. It's a figure of speech. Does your figure have to run in the mornings, too? Do you always talk like this? Talk like what? Like what? I think that answers my question. Never mind. So, I struggle to think of small talk and settle on the obvious question. How do you two meet? Rin seems content to let Emi answer this question. Someone in the housing department thought that we'd complement each other well, so we were assigned rooms next to one another. Complement each other? Like shoes in a suit. Huh? Emi giggles at my confusion. Put us together and we've got all our limbs. Get it? Ah. So I started helping Rin get ready in the mornings, and that was that. The truth is, they're missing their limbs because they tried to do alchemy. Alchemy! I mean, you can't help someone get dressed every morning and not get along. I see. Rin chooses this moment to interject. I have trouble with shirts. Right, that seems fairly obvious. Really? Kind of? This isn't helping, but at least Emi seems to find the whole thing funny. That, combined with the fact that Rin is genuinely curious, makes me feel slightly better and yet confused. I mean, you've got no arms. So, putting on a shirt seems like one of those things that would be difficult. You know what? I'm just going to stop talking now. It'll save me a lot of trouble in the long run. Rin nods in what I suspect is meant to be a sage manner. I see. The conversation dies as I turn my attention back to my lunch. It's really quite good. Emi finishes her lunch first and makes a contented noise. Ah, that was good. As she busies herself with cleaning up her lunch, Rin speaks up. I'm thirsty. We know you're thirsty, Rin. You dirty, dirty dog. Oh, I almost forgot about that. Sorry. With a flourish, she reaches into her bag and removes a trio of juice boxes: cranberry, strawberry milk, and fruit punch. She tosses me one that appears to be cranberry juice, one to Rin that appears to be some kind of strawberry milk, complete with pink color scheme, and keeps an equally pink box of some kind of fruit punch for herself. Told ya. 'Cause I already read this, like, an hour ago. Rin dexterously stabs her straw through the top of her box and begins to drink. I'm once again impressed by how flexible she is. but this time I keep my comment to myself. Somehow, I don't think either Emmy or Rin are the sorts of people to think twice about the way they work around their particular disabilities. Rin especially so. Indeed, she gives off the impression of being entirely unaware that she's missing any limbs at all. Whether or not that's a conscious decision is another matter. I'm honestly not sure. So, Hisao, how do you like it up here? I'll be honest. Emmy has probably the most beautiful eyes out of the girls in this game. In my opinion. Everything comes down to opinion. It's quite nice, actually. I like how he places for the view. Thanks for inviting me up here. And for the lunch, too. Amy grins a 1,000-watt grin, pleased with my response. No problem. Feel free to eat with us next time, too, okay? I won't make you a lunch, but you can bring your own up here. No lunch service? I don't know. Amy looks mock offended. Trying to take advantage of my good nature? The nerve. She giggles. Well, if that's your answer, I guess Rin and I will just keep eating lunch. Alone. Without any men. Just us girls. I am suddenly assaulted by the most heart-rending puppy dog eyes I've ever seen as Emmy pouts. Kidding, I was kidding. I'd love to eat lunch up here again. Good location and the company's okay too. Emmy frowns a bit at my declaration of okay, but seems happy enough that I've accepted her invitation. I guess this makes us friends now. Or at least acquaintances. The lunch bells ring, signaling a return downstairs. Rin, you didn't finish your lunch again. I wasn't that hungry. If you don't eat more, you're going to fade away. Fast I fade away. Done with that? Rin shrugs, as if this is an acceptable risk. Come on, we'd better get going. The three of us head down the stairs together. The afternoon class passes. Once again I find myself without a plan for something to do after school, so I head to the library to return a couple of books I finished reading. Walking inside, I see that there are about as many students here as there were on Tuesday, all the more evident from the almost total silence enveloping the room. As I drop the books I'd borrowed into the return slot in the counter, Yuko suddenly pops up from behind it, quite startled from the banging they make as they hit the trolley next to her. Ah, sorry, Yuko, didn't mean to startle you. No, that's fine. It happens. A lot. I'm used to it by now. Clearly, Yuko, you are not used to it, and you're a dirty, dirty liar. Can I help you? It's okay. I think I know where everything is. Thanks anyway. I suppose I'll grab another book or two while I'm here. There's not much else to do, and after reading so much during my stay in the hospital, it's become a hard habit to break. I wander down to the fiction section, towards the back of the library, scanning the bookshelves for anything that catches my eye. As I do, I look over the corner where Hinako had been the last time I was here, not expecting anything to come of it. Cue Hinako. Surprisingly, though, she's there, absorbed completely in a fairly thick book. I decide against intruding on her like last time and get back to finding reading material. After an indiscernible amount of time spent pursuing the aisles, I finally decide on a couple of books to get and slide them off the shelf. With a minimum of fuss, I quickly walk over to the counter, check my books, and pop them into my bag as I walk out. By the time I leave the main building, sunset isn't too far away. A small trickle of students remain, but the majority have left, presumably to their homes and dorms. I guess I need to buy some supplies. I can't live off cafeteria food and eating out for my entire stay here. As I leave for the gate, I make a few loud stretches to try and stave off the tiredness that's accumulated over the week. After passing through and rounding the corner, though, I see a solitary figure walking downhill towards the small town below. The color of her hair and tapping of her cane are unmistakable. I quickly walk up to her, which seems to catch her attention without a word needing to be said. Hi, Lily. She takes a moment to place the voice. slightly adjusting her head to face a bit more towards the source of my voice as she does. Hisao? Yep, that's me. She seems to have a good memory for voices. The fact that she actually remembered is quite pleasant. Good evening. What brings you here? Once again she gives a small polite bow, and once again I reply in kind before realizing that I didn't need to do so. Just going into town. You? My, what a coincidence. Doing the same thing, eh? I usually go shopping on Fridays. She pauses for a moment, suddenly looking a little lost, goddammit. That said, Hinako usually comes into town with me. Ah, not lost, but worried. The two do seem to keep pretty close tabs on one another. It's kind of surprising that Hinako would just forget Lily like that. I noticed her reading in the library. She probably just got caught up in the book. She lets out a small sigh of relief. Thank you. She has a habit of doing that. Avid reader? Right. She doesn't like being around crowds of people, so reading away from everyone lets her relax a bit. Although she probably didn't intend to blah blah blah. It's probably only loud for me. I can't help but grimace as I recall my first meeting with her. Hardly wanting to bring it up, I remain silent as we continue to walk down the quiet road. Tack, 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 tack. With the road bereft of cars and the students of Yamaku increasingly far behind us, the quiet rustling of the leaves and the measured tapping of Lily's cane against the sidewalk are all that can be heard. It's kind of nice, especially compared to the hustle and bustle of where I used to live. Before I know it, I've relaxed so much that a loud yawn escapes before I can control it. Tired? Yeah, been running ragged these past few days. That's an understatement, to be sure. Transferring into a different school would be bad enough, but nothing like this. Well, hopefully everything should settle down for you. The festival's got everyone in a spin right now, and you've been plopped right in the middle of things. For a moment I hesitate, but given her apparent tolerance for frankness, I decide to give my full thoughts. I guess. Yamaku's kind of different though. I mean, the formality surrounding everything, the isolation around it. Not to mention the most obvious difference. It's kind of a whole different mindset. I suppose I'll get used to it, though, in time. She gives her a matter-of-fact nod, apparently pleased with my answer. Feels almost as if she's included me in a flock of students she's shepherding, along with Class 3-2 at Hinako. Well, not that I mind. It's nice to get the thoughts off my chest in any case. Looking on the bright side, one could see it as a chance for a new beginning. You should cherish the ability to make new friends. That's optimistic. Nonetheless, it's good to have a positive attitude about such things, I suppose. I guess. That's a good take on it. Walking on down the road, she seems to become somewhat unsettled. Before I can ask what's on her mind, she seems to collect herself and speaks up before something else. About. So, where in town were you going? I like that look Lily makes. I do. Lily's great. Wide-eyed? Half-eyed? No-eyed. Wide-eyed, half-eyed, no-eyed. Oh, what did I do? Let's make Lily blink. I keep accidentally hitting. What do you guys think of Lily blinking? Oh well. I'm gonna stop messing with that. So, where in town were you going? That's actually a pretty good question. I'd come in to buy food, but the layout of the place is still totally foreign to me. I'd intended to just wander around and see what I could find, but with sunset already approaching and nightfall not too far away, that doesn't seem very wise. I'm going to have to ask for directions, again. I was just going to get some food, but now that you mention it, I don't really know the way. Well now, this is quite lucky. I was just about to go to the convenience store myself. Looks like I'll be in your care again, then. Thanks. Together we walk to the store. My pace is carefully slowed to remain beside her. Compared to my usual walking pace, hers is quite a bit slower. Not that it's without reason. After what couldn't be more than several minutes, I catch sight of our objective. This town really is pretty small. Without further ado, we make our way inside with a greeting from the counter. Mind if I tag along with you? Usually Hinako would help me, but seeing as she's not here... It takes a moment before I realize what she means. Considering she wouldn't be able to read any of the labels, shopping without any help would be a big pain for her. That said, I can't shake the feeling that she'd had this idea since I said I was coming here. Sure, it'd be my pleasure. I grabbed 2 well-used red baskets from the small stack beside the entrance, handing one to Lily. She lays it on the ground, putting her school bag in, retracting her cane and sliding it through the basket's handles before picking it back up in her right hand. Wait, if she doesn't use her cane... Before I can complete the thought, she comes beside me and pinches the cuff of my uniform in her slender fingers.
Beer! Hisao need beer! Beer!
Is this alright? Sure. I have no reason not to accept. I can think of worse things than shopping with a pretty girl holding on to me, even if it is out of necessity. We navigate our way through the store, with not one of the occasional passing customers seeming to bat an eyelid. Considering how close Yamaku is, I guess seeing students from there must be entirely normal for their local residents. As we reach each aisle, I quickly check with Lily and find out what she needs. I grab it along with what I'm looking for and put our items into their respective baskets. I guess this is the normal routine she and Hinako follow every day. Right, all that's left is the bread, and that should be my shopping done. Do you need anything else? No, this should be everything. Off we go then. With a quick side trip to the bakery section, we make our way to the registers. The line, thankfully, is almost non-existent. It's not long before we've both paid for our food and are out the door. As Lily retrieves her cane and extends it to full length, I waste a minute looking upwards at the night sky while holding both our bags. For a moment I try to make clouds with my breath, but the summer's heat doesn't seem to cooperate. Eventually she rights herself, taking a quick stretch before taking her bag and leaving me to my 2. You tired as well? The festival preparations have been complete chaos. Shizune breathing down my neck doesn't exactly help things either. Hey, she's only trying to get everything organized. Better now than later, right? I suppose. I'm going to enjoy relaxing in town tomorrow, that's for certain. I guess the festival preparations must be taking their toll on both of them. We walk out into the quiet street, talking between ourselves as we carry our bags of food and supplies from the store. Wait, what's that? I noticed a very distinctive figure making its way towards us, silhouetted by the street lamps. For a second, I think it's another male student from my class, but as he, or should I say she, gets closer, I recognize her immediately. Cue Rin! Rin, what are you doing out here so late? Rin? Lily perks her head, looking like she's trying to focus on listening more keenly. It suddenly comes to me that I should probably interpret the scene for her. It's Rin, Tezuka, I think was her last name, from our school. She stiffens at the name and gives a complicated-looking expression, something like a forced fusion of a composed smile and a painful cringe. Ah, I understand. I guess Lily knows Rin too. Rin turns to look at us, looking terribly out of it. I'm not entirely sure if she recognizes either of us, or at least she doesn't acknowledge it if she does. She looks like a zombie, or a statue of a zombie. But slowly some symptoms of understanding seem to lighten her dark eyes. This is something she must react to. Rin blinks once, very thoughtfully, thoroughly. Hello. There's an awkward pause, everyone waiting for someone else to say something. What are you doing here this late? I was wondering about that myself just now. Some people asked that just before. I assume they were wondering the same. I didn't know. They didn't know either. I asked. That's why I'm wondering. So that was pretty much it. It's a murder mystery without a murder. They were going that way. She turns facing to her right in order to demonstrate the direction the other people went to, as if that was important, then rotates back like a mechanical puppet in one of those overly complicated clockworks. For a person who gives an impression of being the quiet type, Rin really does use a lot of words to say things that don't need to be said. Like every main character in a visual novel ever. Unsure if she's finished, I say nothing. Neither does Lily, who seems equally robbed of words for the time being. I think that both of us are in fact just scared that in her response might provoke her to continue. Our stupefied lack of reaction doesn't faze Rin at all. She keeps looking at us expectantly, a calm hint of expression on her blank face. She seems to be that kind of person, always so relaxed, as if bull elephant grade sedatives were flowing in her veins in the place of blood. Do you have amnesia? I don't recall you having anything of that sort, though. No, I don't think it's that. The other passerby were probably just worried, though. You do look really lost, the way you're standing in the middle of the street. Oh, I see. Maybe I should have taken some other kind of pose in that case. I ponder for a while whether I should chase this angle further, or give up for the sake of my own sanity. I decide on the later. I'm gonna end it real quick, but first I'm gonna save. Create a new save state. Okay, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you later. Peace.